jail because when you did something against the community, it was really a sin against the community, and you embarrassed your family. They took care of you.
That's right.
So you didn't have to worry about going to jail or getting locked up in a prison because they didn't have any. The community took care of those kinds of issues and grievances. So what Paul is saying is absolutely on point. Our people have to police our community, not the police. We're going to be the police. And it won't be in a way that's unjust. It's going to be a way that's completely just. Because if you desecrate and if you denigrate our community, then you have to answer to the community, not to the police. So what Paul is saying, what Dr. Talut is saying, is absolutely on point. I agree with him 100%.
Okay. And another statement has been made that as long as these individuals, these horrible, evil individuals, can commit these heinous crimes and nothing is done, they will continue doing these things. I want to go now to Ms. Christian Kirk.
You know, I agree with Brother Talut on a lot of what he's saying, but I think that the homicides, the crimes that we're seeing are a symptom of a larger systemic problem. The first thing, I absolutely agree that men should be involved, but I think they need to be involved earlier. They need to be intervening in these young men's lives, these young women's lives, bringing them along with you, whatever it is you do for a trade, teaching them that this is the way that you survive, teaching them other tools to make it, because they're getting roped into a system because largely they're being ignored by the people around them. They're growing up in environments where they're being ignored, and by the time they become a criminal, we don't want to have anything to do with them. They're not a part of us anymore. They become individuals instead of our children in our community. And then, you know, the criminal system gets a part of them. And it's hard to be rehabilitated once you've gone through that system. You get a label, you can't get a job. So I absolutely agree the men need to be involved, but a lot earlier, and showing love earlier, and just intervening earlier and showing them there's another way to do it, that we do care, and this is the way that you do it. If they learn these tools, I don't think they'll turn to that. I think that we can intervene earlier.
Okay, very good. Brother Darius, what is this phenomenon that takes over the psyche of our young males that once they get engulfed in this situation, it's hard to turn them around? Talk to us about what we're facing.
What I would have to do is kind of piggyback on what Christian just said. It's a deeper problem, and what it is, even to begin to get men to incorporate it back into the neighborhood, number one, you have to realize is they don't care. There's no hope. So you have to be able to put hope into the young people, and then they will begin to care about their neighborhoods enough to want to make something happen. It's like walking into a dirty room, and it's filth everywhere. Then you say, pick up their cup. For what? It's filth everywhere. You know, that one cup it's not gonna do nothing. Somebody just gonna throw another cup down. But until we take the time to reinstill hope in our community and our young people, then there won't be any change. But that comes from our elders, like you said, who are extremely disconnected from us. We're judged by our profiles and how we look by our own people before we even judge in front of the courts. We're allowed to run recklessly because you scared to say something to him, or your approach to him is so uncuffed or just ridiculous, he's not going to accept nothing that you're going to say. Okay. So the problem is hope has to be put back in place for the care to take place, for Brother Talut's idea to even begin to be put on the table in the first place.
Okay. So there's some prerequisites. Brother Jabril,
yes, sir.
What about this apathy versus hope situation that we face primarily with our young men going forward?
You know, this sister said something. She said, she used the term systemic.
Yes.
And that's the way I see that problem that exists in our community. It's very systemic because it just didn't come on last year or year before. This thing has been going on over 35 years now. It's just culminating to a point where we can see it because it's so devastating to us. You know, I think that, like I said last week, you know, that the moratorium on guns, you know, it's going to require us to do something that's tangible and physical that could probably stave this thing off until the information and knowledge set in. You know, hope is necessary. You know, when you can look in a child's eyes and you can tell them something that stimulates them to the extent that they will commit themselves to the truth. You know, that is, you know, I know about it because, you know, I deal with children.
Yeah.
And dealing with children, you know, it's so fascinating for me, you know, because I get so much out of it in trying to guide a child on the right path. You know, we're going to have to incorporate sooner or later a certain understanding of rite of passage on a village concept, and on a village level, you know, where we can deal with some things that might not be seen now, but we can get past those things, you know. Brother Omar was saying, will you say something, brother?
You know, it's not just necessarily a moratorium on guns. Every nation needs a way to defend itself.
Sure.
But we need a moratorium on self-hatred.
Okay.
And a moratorium on ignorance.
Sure.
Because right now the media guides our children into those paths of danger. And they look back in our day when we had a beef with somebody, we fought them. We fist fought them. There wasn't no guns involved.
That's right.
Sometimes they might have a stick or a knife, but no gun. And you indiscriminately hurt people that had nothing to do with your argument.
Race crime.
Now the media controls the minds of our children in our own homes to make them understand that the way you solve a problem is to kill it. And now that's all we know. And you don't just kill it, you kill everything around it, including people who have nothing to do with it.
That's right.
But we got to have a moratorium on that kind of ignorance. And we got to control our own media, which controls the mind of our children.
Because race pride have one of those things that have dipped out of the concept.
Okay, did you finish, Brother Jabril? Okay. Brother Paul, here's what I hear. All these ideas are good, but I hear a need for a step-by-step process in orders, like giving a speech or singing a song or writing a paper in order, in some kind of order. And ultimately, we're going to come up with a comprehensive program and approach. Can you speak to this issue of the approach? And I think this is something that you've been talking about all along. Talk to us about the way in which you see the problem, solution to the problem, and going forward.
Okay. Number one, when there is a problem, there is a solution. We all know that.
Is it quite complex?
It's complex, but it's empirical evidence that we have as a people on what the problem is. Now, if we simplify it and understand that there has been some persuasion of people who have created a bridge that it clouds our thinking, and we don't understand that the bridge that's created is that it's no longer a solution to getting people who need it. We all need it. What they've done is they've created a bridge, and we don't understand that we have to recognize that we need to start to create an environment where our people want it. Because if we don't do that, the solution is for people who want it, not need it. And if I can explain that, is that as long as they don't want it, even though they need it, they're not going to seek the solution.
That's right.
And we have to make sure that we as a people make it apparent that it's something that we should want to do. And we have to start off with our kids because we can gear them from the beginning to want it. The problem is that the adults that are out here have been conditioned and brainwashed through education, that we need to start schooling them. When we used to grow up and say, I schooled that brother. We showed him how it was supposed to be done, and he recognized that he needed to do it the next time. This education is a farce.
Did you school him, brother?
Yeah, I schooled him. And the bottom line is that we have an education system that is dictated off of the model of the Germans, who we know had no respect for the masses. That they were fascists, and we're continuing. And then they have a clause in the school system that we're supposed to have uniforms, but they couldn't give it to us in the beginning, so they created an environment where we wanted to have uniforms, and then they didn't have a problem passing it. And now we're a complete replica of the German institution of education, and we don't even recognize it. So we got to start learning that as a people, we got to take these blinders off. We got to turn our light on because all the evidence is there. Just turn your light on and you'll see it.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you something that happened. I was taking a course, a sociology course. The instructor so-called white, and even she said that the public school system was not designed, it wasn't set up for real education. It was set up for laborers, servants, and workers. So Carter G. Woodson called it the miseducation process. Another thing I hear, Brother Talut, from listening to the discussions of the past, is that dealing with African Americans, it sounds like the bulk of the problem resides within the psyche of African Americans. Is that, and what approach?
We're our own enemy. I mean, everybody knows that.
Continue.
And the thing is, when we speak in terms of corporate education and what the effects of that is on our lives,
yes,
we tend to not think about what happens in the family.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how are these children being educated in their homes in front of their parents, okay, who holds the real responsibilities as to who they're going to be and what they're going to do once they leave the den, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay. My thing is, if you didn't educate your child properly at home, and that child go out and commit murder and kill somebody's mother, father, or somebody's daughter, we need to be coming at that person.
Mm-hmm.
See, because the parent should have reared that child properly before he gets into society. Okay, now once he gets into society, if he's got good manners and good intelligence, then yeah, we can pick him up and carry him a little further. But if he doesn't, we have to hold the parent responsible and that child responsible, who goes out and commit a senseless killing.
Right.
Look, in my organization, the Commission Against Senseless Killing, I have talked to dozens of people whose family member was shot down in the street. Woman with little infant children going to the store, step out the store, and some nut shoot her in the head and then walk off. Mm-hmm. A young man loves his automobile, gets a job, buy his 48s or 38s or whatever side rims that they are,
right,
and fix his car up, go to wash his car, some nut walks up, shoots him in the head in the car. Mm-hmm. His father telling me I had to go and get my son's car. I had to wipe his brains off the back seats and all to clean up the car and these type of things. These killings like that are senseless. There's no rational bound for them at all. It's not in the defense. It's not standing your ground. It's not protecting your home or property or family. It's just a nut with a gun that walks out whose parents didn't give a damn about him. He walks out and shoots an innocent person in the head. I'm saying, as men in this community, we have to be responsible. We have to help. And now I'm going to tell you something else we're saying. If someone commits one of these crimes and a witness is standing there, I'm not going to snitch.
Yes.
That's bull.
Yes.
What do you mean snitch?
Yes.
This person killed a mother, a grandparent, or a child, and you're not going to be a part of the community and bring this person in for justice, then you're responsible for the next murder that person commit, and the one after that, and the one after that, because once one get away with murdering somebody, their intent is to kill again. They develop a reputation for killing, and that's what they want to do. These are not people who are part of our community.
Okay.
And we have to stand up, and let me tell you this. You have to have force in society. And if we don't have the strength as men to provide force, then how are we going to lead a world? How are we going to lead a city or a town? Some of us have to be compassionate, rational, or not rational, but compassionate, warm-hearted, soft.
Some of us have to be forceful.
Somebody have to be forceful.
Come on. Christian right quick, then Darius, then Baruti, and back around.
Again,
in that order.
Picking back up on what Brother Talut was saying, again, I don't think that people become hardened criminals overnight. I think the biggest thing is the conditioning that we see in the media, the same things that, just to give you an example here, when we see white kids that try to act black, what do they mimic? Do they mimic actual black people, or do they mimic the media's interpretation of what blackness is?
Okay.
That's the same thing that our kids are picking up about who and what they are supposed to be and who they are. The best thing that we can do is exactly what Brother Jabril is doing, educating them early about who they really are. What your real history is, who you are as an individual. That gives you hope. When you know that you're not what the media tells you you are, When you know that you're something great, that you know you're from the stock that Marcus Garvey came from, a stock that creates movements, that changes your whole perspective. If you're being taught that this is the way you're supposed to behave because you don't have hope, when the people, the politicians that come and speak at your school don't talk about what your real opportunities are, they talk to you about staying out of jail, that kind of thing. It's conditioning that happens even by our own people because we're conditioned. If we turn off the TVs and start getting engaged with our kids, I think we can do a whole lot more.
Brother Darius.
And she hit it. You know what I mean? Like, it's nothing wrong with what you're saying. It's very understandable. But I feel like you trying to wash a car to make it run. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta do that engine work. You gotta change the oil. You gotta work on the motor. Like, the people don't care, so why would they tell? You know what I mean? It don't make no sense. Like, you want to hit somebody. Like, what it sound like, and I'm not attacking your thing, just a little bit.
Come on with it.
You are trying to implement the same goals, the same mission that's already being implemented. When we do something, they already throwing us away.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, you got to start in the base. And to start at the base, what we got to do is show them that it can work. But we don't show them that it can work because what we do is we separate immediately. This brother got a school in the neighborhood. That neighborhood has apartment complexes close to it. It has living quarters. It has stores. So to begin to rebuild a community, we got to start in the community. We got a school. Let's all move over there. Let's only shop over there. Let's only police over there. Let's pay somebody to ride around in the security car to straighten them out before we call the police on them. But until you can do that, you just repeating what your oppressor already doing to you.
Okay, we've got 8 minutes. We've got 8 minutes. And no, you're good. That's what we do here. That's what we do here. We come with solutions. Right. So, my sister fell victim to homicide. And that's something Talut and I, we've been talking about. As men, Brother Baruti and I, we've talking about dealing with the issues at hand. What I hear is a discussion about cause and effect. I hear a discussion about origin and where we start and what we do. And what I hear is the need for the problem to be addressed from 2 to maybe 4, 5 or 6 prongs. The moratorium on guns, I think, is a valid idea. The idea about starting at home with the family, I think, is a valid idea. Brother Baruti,
Yes.
Can you give us some more perspective on cause and effect, solution,
Yes, sir.
approach?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
You know, we are victims of mind manipulation because when you think about it, they talk about black on black crime. Well, what about white on white crime?
Yeah.
That don't make the headlines. And if you look at the FBI crime data, 83% of white murder victims are killed by white people.
Sure.
So if that ain't white on white crime, then what is it? But they blow ours up because it sells newspapers, it sells airtime. Most of our situation, most of our ignorance deals with poverty. If the average drug dealer could actually get a job making a decent living, he wouldn't be selling drugs.
That's
Right.
so true.
When I had children at Northside in alternative school, and I would take them over there to school, and I had my own insurance office. And in the summertime, I hired children to work for me in my office through the Summer Youth Employment Program. And I said, young man, pull your pants up. You could work in my office and represent me. Oh, yes, sir, I can pull them up. Give me a job, I'll pull them up. That's not them. The them is the them inside of those dropping clothes. That's the real them. Back in the day, a village, everybody raised the child.
That's true.
If you did something crazy at school, before you got home, the message got home before you.
That's so true.
If you did something crazy down the street,
Yeah.
the neighbor tore your behind up and mom and daddy
That's right.
tore it up when you got
That's
home with
exactly
your
right.
crazy self.
Yeah.
So you knew everywhere you go, eyes were on you.
Sure.
And they loved you and they wanted to make sure you stayed on track.
That's right.
Right now we've gone the other direction. We don't even know our neighbors in some instances. We
That's
lived
true.
next to them for several years, don't even know who they are.
That's true.
We have lost that village concept that we came through and came up with. And that's really what protected us.
Yeah.
The black man has been driven from the home by welfare.
Sure.
I remember days when if you were on welfare, they would come in your house and check and see if you had any signs of a man staying there. Looking under the bed and in the closet, if he had
Oh, yeah.
shoes or clothes in there.
That's
Because
true.
if you had those out there, you would put off of welfare. They have destroyed the family. We got to restore that family.
That's right. That's so true.
Well done, brother. Well said.
Okay, they, when we talk about they, let's identify the they we're talking about. Brother Paul, you've talked about they. And what they are we talking about?
Well, the people that have oppressed us over the years, we got.
Are they, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Are they the enemy?
You know, they, in my book, they are someone that I look to know what direction I need to go in to handle my problem. Because the problem stems from us not recognizing what they're doing to us. In order for you to make the right decisions, a lot of times we don't recognize that we have to realize what direction they're coming from, so we'll know what direction to go in for our solution. And see, when we go to them for education, and these are the same people who have kids, you think they're going to teach our kids more information than they teach their own? Do you think the ones that oppressed us are going to give us the information we need to come out of oppression? No, we need to do like the brother said, Brother Darius said, we need to get in our own community. We need to take a part of a page of the village, that my concept, and say, okay, who wants to be a part of the village? Now that I know you want to be a part of the village, then we can go over here, like Darius said, and set up our own village, take care and rear our kids, police our streets, educate our kids, galvanize around Marcus Garvey, and we can start doing that now. That's a part of the solution. If it starts off with 10 people, so be it. But we're going to attract a lot more in the future, because they're going to see what's happening to our kids, what's happening to us, and like you said, we show them by example.
We've got 3 minutes, and I've just got a phone call, Brother Darius, from a young lady who disagrees with you. And she wants to know, how are you going to approach your solution in terms of getting your message and your word out to these young people?
We just answered that.
It to a great extent you did. To a great extent you did, but in terms of cause and effect.
Like how would I begin it?
Yeah, and carry it out.
Exactly what he said. Like, you got the brother went to school. You mentioned the book earlier, Miseducation of Negro. The very beginning of the book talks about when we selling bananas. You take your banana money and you go over there, and you move over there after selling bananas. You want to go to Cordova. You want to go to Germantown. You want to go where it's safe. That's the real issue. You just want to go where it's safe. So if we all know each other, and we see somebody that's over here that ain't supposed to be over here, we get on their head, right? That's your idea, right? We got to school, so now we can school them versus the way they've been educated. That's the brother's idea, right? It can work because we have to implement each one of these. Every factor of what everybody said is what's needed.
I think we all have to agree on the idea going forward. Whatever the idea is, we have to agree on. Brother Jabril, you haven't said anything in a while, so talk to us about, because I think the young lady who called, she's concerned about cause and effect. Can you talk to us about cause and effect and how we put these pieces together relative to your work
Let me
at the
say
institution
that,
of Marcus Garvey, you do with the children?
you know, we can't blame the children, you know, because they just got here.
Right.
You know, we've been on this planet, you know, let's say 25 minutes. This child, in comparison with our 25 minutes, they've been on the planet 2 seconds. So how in the world they get contaminated? How do they get affected by this, the ills of the society in which we live? You know, Dr. Richmond was on earlier.
Yes.
And he talked about them house Negroes.
Yes, he did.
And some things that them house Negroes are doing downtown and around our community is asinine.
Yes.
A lot of them should be put in jail right now, or in the moment.
Straight up pause.
Because they have criminalized our community. Then they point the finger at it, and then they take the funds and give it to Sears Tower, or they get to a bicycle thing going over the bridge, or they take some money and put it over here on Broad Street, or give Elvis Presley $42 million. But you skip right around North Memphis, inner North Memphis, and inner South Memphis. You know, that to me is criminal.
Okay.
You know, and it should be addressed, and it's going to be addressed.
Yeah.
Believe me.
Unfortunately, we've come to the end of another good show. But that's political, isn't it, Brother Talut? That is political.